Welcome to listening to stories on Kevin TV audiobook channel. Chapter 2332, Joining the Fight Against the Giant Emperor 2. With half of their forces killed in an instant, the human army was sent into a frenzy panic. He killed so many of us with just his presence alone. It's over, that monster is too powerful. Don't give up yet, one of the 4 God Realm cultivators shouted at them, snapping them out of their panic. Hurry up and deal with the rest of the giants. We'll need as much help as we can get with the giant emperor, said another God Realm cultivator. While the army regained their composure and continued to deal with the rest of the giants, Ren Xia and the other God Realm experts focused on Culus. Ren Xia and Sun Rusi were obviously much stronger than the other 4 God Realm experts, and it didn't take long for them to realize this fact. Heavens! When did you achieve the God Realm? One of them couldn't help but ask Sun Rusi. Who is that woman? To think there'd be such a powerful expert out there this entire time. Another questioned Ren Xia's identity. Are you bastards crazy? Sun Rusi snapped at them. This isn't the time for side conversations. Her words quickly snapped their minds back into order. However, even with the addition of Ren Xia and Sun Rusi, the 6 of them were still struggling against Culus. Moreover, they were certain that he was still hiding more power. Sun Rusi, do you have any idea how we can defeat this monster? One of the 4 God Realm cultivators asked. You're the smartest in our family, after all. Why the hell are you asking me? What happened to the Enlightened One? Why didn't you ask him, Father? I'm sure he could guide you to victory with his prophecies. Sun Rusi glared at the man who turned out to be her father. Her father, Sun Hongjia, gritted his teeth and responded, We've tried, but he's been in a seclusion even before the war began. He's spoken with us a few times through letters, but he's never mentioned anything about the giant race or a war. Then why didn't you force him out of seclusion? Our entire world is at stake, you know. I'm sure this is also within his prophecies. If the situation is truly as grave as it seems, then he would have already appeared. Sun Rusi clenched her fists and gritted her teeth in frustration at her father's blind trust and faith in the Enlightened One. Even though so many years have passed, I see that you are still as foolish as before. Sun Rusi sighed inwardly. Unfortunately, I have no clue how we can defeat him. She shook her head a moment later. I know someone who might, but he's not here. If we can stall him long enough, perhaps. You know someone who can defeat this monster when even the 6 of us combined cannot? Who is this monster? Sun Hongjia exclaimed in a shocked voice. Sun Rusi had a strong urge to respond with my Dao companion, but she managed to keep her control in check. Time continued to pass, and at the end of the day, the human army managed to defeat the remaining giant army, allowing them to assist Sun Rusi and the others. However, the pressure coming from Culus' aura was so intense that the immortals couldn't even approach without exhausting their spiritual energy to shield themselves from it. It was at this point that the immortals realized that they couldn't help even if they wanted to, and all they could do was watch from afar as their remaining hope slowly gets beaten down by Culus. Tian Xianzhong, Sun Hongjia exclaimed when Culus suddenly landed a fatal blow on one of them. Tian Xianzhong was sent flying away, only stopping when the immortals went to stop his fall. I'm still alive, but I don't think I can continue, he muttered as he coughed up many mouthfuls of blood. One down, Culus laughed madly, attacking them with nothing but his bare fists, each blow obliterating everything for miles with just the sheer force coming from his punches. After taking care of one, Culus became more aggressive as he picked up his pace, quickly defeating the second. Then a third. After another half a day, only Ren Xia, Sun Rusi, and Sun Hongjia remained, and not before long, Sun Hongjia also retired from the battle after losing both of his arms when he had no choice but to block Culus' attack directly with his body. And now there are only 2 left. Culus smiled as he glared at Sun Rusi and Ren Xia. Although both of them were still in good shape and only suffered minor injuries up to this point, Culus was completely fine in comparison, only sweating slightly, like he'd just finished a light jog. You? Kula's gaze suddenly halted on Sun Rusi before asking in a curious voice, "What is your relationship with Tianyang?" "Why do you care?" she sneered. "So I can decide whether I should just kill you now or save you for later, like that bitch. So are you also another woman who ensnared my sworn brother?" Sun Rusi hesitated to answer, as there were many members of the three pillars of heaven present as witness, including her own father. "I have no idea what you're talking about." Sun Rusi eventually responded with a stiff smile. If there was a chance that they survived this, she didn't want to entangle Tianyang with her family's drama. "In that case, you may die." Kulas immediately attacked. "Hey, are you seriously going to ignore me?" Ren Xia cried out loud in disbelief when Kulas flew right past her and directly at Sun Rusi, with all of Kulas' attention directly on her. Sun Rusi felt the battle had increased in difficulty tremendously, reaching a point where she could only focus on evading and nothing else. Ren Xia didn't stop attacking Kulas, but he continued to ignore her, treating her as if she was just an insignificant fly that could be taken care of at will. In just a mere hour, Sun Rushi found herself on the verge of death, unable to retaliate. Had it not been for the life-saving treasures in her possession, she would have likely died several times already. "Stop your pointless struggle and die for me already." Kulas roared as his aura intensified even more. The sudden shift in pressure caught Sun Rushi off guard for a heartbeat, and Kulas seized the moment, landing a crushing direct punch. Sun Rushi's body, an ant before an elephant compared to Kulas's fist, was sent flying, leaving a streak of blood across the sky. The Sun Rushi! Ren Xia exclaimed with fear in her voice. As she rushed to check on Sun Rushi, Kulas intercepted and blocked her path, a malicious grin on his face before his fist slammed into her. Kulas purposefully held back, so Ren Xia managed to survive it. Unfortunately, both of her arms were broken at that moment. "Now, how should I take care of you before Tianyang arrives?" Kulas mumbled in a low voice. Meanwhile, the rest of the army fell into despair after seeing Kula defeat their final hope. "It's really over now. There's nobody in this world who can stop him." Chapter 2333. Appearing just in time, some time later, Kulas started to approach Ren Xia with a wide grin on his face. "I'll just rip you, limb from limb for now." Kulas took several steps before suddenly halting his movements. His head turned to look in a different direction from Ren Xia, and an excited grin appeared on his face as he exclaimed with exhilaration, "He's finally here." In the next moment, a powerful ripple appeared from afar, and the crimson barrier that had blocked their view shattered into countless fragments that poured from the sky like a crimson rain. "Kulas!" An enraged voice resounded the next moment as a silhouette appeared from the horizon, quickly closing in on them. Before anyone could make out the silhouette's face, hundreds of swords materialized from thin air around Kulas and rained down upon him. Kulas raised his arms in a defensive posture he had never used since the war began. Then the blades struck, piercing his skin and drawing blood for the first time. While the spectators were shocked by the scene of Kulas being injured, Ren Xia's gaze never left the silhouette even for a split second. "You're late, you idiot." She released a sigh of relief after seeing Tianyang's face. Tianyang stopped right beside Ren Xia and asked, "Where's Rusi?" The smile on her face froze as her gaze shifted to where Sun Rusi had crashed just seconds earlier. But before she could finish her sentence, Tianyang interrupted. "I can still sense her presence. Go to her. I'll take care of Kulas myself." Ren Xia silently nodded before rushing to Sun Rusi without hesitation. Kulas didn't bother to stop Ren Xia this time, as his attention was now fully on Tianyang. "You'll take care of me, even though you're still in the first level of the God realm?" Kulas suddenly spoke with a smile on his face. Tianyang didn't respond. Indeed, his cultivation was still at the first level of God realm. Ren Xia didn't notice, simply because she was in no condition to pay attention to such details. After a moment of silence, he calmly sighed. "Unfortunately, I was unable to advance to the next level. However, that's precisely why I managed to make it here in time to stop you. Kulis tilted his head in a confused manner and spoke. Even if you have arrived before I could torture your lover, I fail to see how you'll be able to stop me. That being said, even if you had advanced to the next level, you still wouldn't be able to defeat me. Tian Yang went silent again. He knew Kulis was right, that even if he arrived, he would not beat him. Still learning Sun Rushi and Renxia were in danger left him unable to stand idly by. Hey, Kulis. No, Zaran. I have a proposition for you. What? Kulis raised his eyebrows. I know why you're doing all of this and what you're looking for. What if I tell you that I know where to find it? Tian Yang said with a confident smile. Ha ha ha, and here I was wondering what nonsense you'd spew. What the hell do you know about me? Absolute power. Tian Yang spoke with voice transmission so that the others wouldn't be able to hear it. When Kulis heard the name, his laughing immediately stopped, and he glared at Tian Yang with a serious expression. How the hell do you know about that? Did the Eternal behind you tell you? Kulis narrowed his eyes. Not only that, but I have already found it. If you back off for now, I'll tell you its location. Bullshit. If you truly had the absolute power in your possession, you wouldn't be here trying to bargain with me right now. Even if what you say is true, the Eternal behind you would never allow it. Why the hell are you trying to bargain with me when you can just hand it over to the one you're working for? Because I don't trust him, and you trust me? Do you really believe that I'd fall for such an obvious lie? No, I don't trust you either. In fact, I don't trust any Eternal. And since you're pretty much all the same in my eyes, I might as well bargain with someone who has what I want currently. Are you referring to that bitch? You're really going to give me the absolute power for a woman? I can easily destroy your world afterward with that power, you know. That's a risk I'm willing to take. After a moment of silence, Kulis asked, what proof do you have that you know where to find the absolute power? Do you remember what you said to me? That I had a power that weakened your influence, that wasn't a gift given to me by an Eternal. I have somehow acquired some of that power after coming into contact with the absolute power. That's... Kulis' eyes widened with shock after hearing such evidence. Then a massive grin tugged at his lips, one that reached from ear to ear. Very well. You've got a deal. If you lead me to the absolute power, I, Zaran, will not only spare you and your partner, but I will even leave your world alone. However, the moment I sense any bullshit, I'll immediately kill you and everyone in this world. Tian Yang nodded. Give me a moment. He went to Ren Xia's side, who was still feeding Sun Rushi medicine. Jing Ruye, who purposefully waited before making an appearance, was also there, her eyes soaked in tears. How is she? Tian Yang asked. Her life isn't in danger, but she won't be able to move for some time. Tian Yang nodded and then said, I'm going to leave with Kulis for a bit. I'll return once everything is over. All right. Make sure to explain everything once you're back. She calmly nodded. Without another word, Tian Yang returned to Kulis and said, Follow me in the blink of an eye. They both disappeared into the horizon, leaving everyone there puzzled and stunned. Chapter 2334, Sealing Kulis' Soul. After leaving the battlefield, Tian Yang led Zaran east as they traveled. Tian Yang questioned, If you're just looking for the absolute power, why are you doing all of this? Was there really a need to start a war with us? The fastest and most efficient way to find the absolute power is to conquer the world and search every inch of it without delay, Zaran calmly answered. Then why are you the only Eternal to make such drastic measures? Tian Yang continued to ask. And how do you know that? I am certainly not the only Eternal with this idea. I am merely the first one to achieve it, he remarked with an arrogant smirk. Tian Yang trembled at Zaran's words that implied there were multiple Eternals attempting to conquer the divine heavens. However, once I acquire the absolute power, the other Eternals will lose interest in this world, so the faster you give it to me, the faster we'll leave you alone. Tian Yang silently gritted his teeth at Zaran's words that were very similar to what Shura told him. A few days later, Tian Yang suddenly slowed down to a halt. He turned around and faced Zaran, who wore Kula's face, and asked, "I have one last question for you. Is Kula still there?" Zaran remained silent for a good second before responding with a smile. "Of course he's still alive, otherwise I wouldn't be able to make use of him. What about his consciousness?" "What will happen to him? Once you leave, his consciousness will return, but I cannot guarantee you that he will return to the person he was before." Tian Yang tightened his fists at such words, even though this was something he'd already anticipated. Enough questions. How much longer before we reach the absolute power? If you're trying to delay this for whatever reason, I swear. Vulnerable or lax, we're almost there. Tian Yang turned around and continued to move. A few more days later, Tian Yang stopped again. "We're here," he announced in a calm voice. Zaran's eyes lit with excitement as he scanned the area. They were in the heart of a vast mountain range, surrounded by nothing but peaks and empty land. Moments later, he frowned and spoke. "Where the hell is the absolute power? I cannot sense it." A subtle grin tugged at Tian Yang's lips as he spoke. "But it's right in front of you?" "What?" Zaran used multiple techniques, even one only available for Eternals, but when he still failed to see the absolute power, he erupted with anger, instantly wiping away the nearby mountains with his explosive aura. "You must be messing with me. How dare you try to make a fool out of me, you insignificant mortal?" Zaran roared, releasing his entire cultivation base. The pressure coming from Zaran's aura was so immense that blood flowed from Tian Yang's eyes and nose. Yet the smile on his face only became more prominent. "What would I gain from lying to you?" Tian Yang calmly shook his head. "I'm even willing to swear on my soul that it's here." "Then why can I not see it?" Zaran rebuked. "Why are you asking me, a mere mortal?" Tian Yang shrugged. "I do not believe you. This is your last chance to tell me the truth. Otherwise, I will kill you and everyone in this world." Tian Yang closed his eyes and sighed. "I'll help you see it. However, your aura is too intense for me to even get close to you. So put it away," he said a moment later. Zaran hesitated for a brief moment, but eventually listened and retrieved his aura. Tian Yang slowly approached him. "Now close your eyes." Zaran didn't question it and closed his eyes. "I will now help you see the absolute power." Tian Yang placed a finger on Zaran's forehead. "Once I tell you, open your eyes." 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. "Okay, you can open your eyes now." After 10 seconds, Zaran slowly opened his eyes with excitement. What? But when he opened his eyes, the ruined mountains and desolate land were gone. Tian Yang was gone too, and Zaran now found himself suspended in the starry sky in his original body. Zaran was bewildered for a long moment before realizing that his connection to Kula's body had been forcefully severed and that he had been fooled by Tian Yang. "Fucking mortal!" Zaran erupted with rage, his fury sweeping the starry sky and extinguishing the flickering lights around him. Meanwhile, Kula's consciousness slowly returned after Zaran was removed from his body. "Tian Yang," Kulas glared at him with a stiff smile. "How are you feeling?" Tian Yang asked. "Fine, for now," Kulas sighed. "I don't know how you achieved this, but it's only temporarily. Even now, my body refuses to listen to me." "I know." A moment later, Kulas' body started shrinking until he was the size of a human again. Then, with stiff movements, Kulas extended his arms and gave Tian Yang a manly hug. "It's a miracle that I get to have this brief moment with you. Now kill me before he regains control and wreaks havoc in this world." Kulas released Tian Yang and tilted his head, offering his neck. Tian Yang silently nodded his head and raised his sword. "See you in my next life, brother," Kulas smiled. Tian Yang's arms trembled, and hesitation flashed in his eyes. However, when he saw that Kula's eyes were beginning to turn crimson again, Tian Yang tightened his grip on the sword and shouted, "Until next time, brother." The next instant, a sword arc streaked through the sky, slashing across Kula's neck. The cut was so swift and precise, it seemed Kula's head remained attached, but in reality, he was decapitated. However, Kulis didn't immediately die because of his powerful cultivation, and Zaran regained control the next second. "Don't think you've won just because you destroyed this mortal's body, you bastard!" Zaran roared. "As long as his soul is unharmed, I can just create another vessel and walk this earth again. You can destroy his soul, but that will permanently remove him from this world and erase any chance of him being able to reincarnate. Moreover, I can always find another vessel to control. You will never win against me." "Shut up," Tianyang shouted as he plunged his sword into Kulis's heart. "I don't care how long it takes. I swear I will get rid of a parasite like you." With both the head and heart destroyed, Zaran could no longer control Kulis's body. However, a moment later, Tianyang could see Kulis's soul escaping from the corpse and attempting to escape. Many thoughts flashed inside Tianyang's head at that moment. Suddenly, he retrieved a treasure from his spatial ring and used it to contain Kulis's soul, preventing it from going anywhere. Luckily, we didn't sell all of the Immortal Clan's treasures and kept a few useful ones to ourselves. Tianyang mumbled, "Sorry for imprisoning you like this, Kulis, but this is Nekasri. I hope for your understanding, and I will definitely free you from that parasite one day." Some time later, Tianyang returned to his world where the others were waiting for him.